Welcome, Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association, to our first meeting of 2026. I am your new president. My name is Emily Lord. We are going to start this meeting off with good news. I really like to start meetings off with good news because it gives us a platform for positivity. So I will start. My good news is I found out through my hard work and dedication to my job that I will have 2 new mentors at work. Does anybody else have good news? And I mean anything. Natalie.
Good morning. I'm Natalie Forbes. I'm in Public Affairs. Over on the table to your left, there are resources. Gun law, Narcan, COVID tests, and information on wellness from the Department of Health. That's good news.
Perfect. Anybody else? Good news. Nobody else has good news. Just 2 people.
I just found out my niece is having her 5th baby.
Woo! That's awesome. That's great. That's great. Anybody else? Angie.
My kids are going to London for study abroad, both of them in fashion design.
Woo-hoo! That's great. That's great. So today is January 10th, 2026. The time is 10 a.m. This meeting of Waldo Tower Neighborhood will come to order. Hello, Waldo Tower, and Happy New Year. Thanks, guys, for being here. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to show up and be present. I really wanted to be prepared for this meeting. I find it might be easier in my scrubs, sitting chairside to you, talking to you about how you might get dental cleanings twice a year, than being in my plain clothes, standing here as your neighborhood president. In being prepared, I sought the advice of a good friend who told me to speak slowly and get to the point. This means so much to me. And to be prepared, I rather wanted to give you something, possibly something new that might motivate you, that might inspire you, maybe to turn a light on, give you that aha moment. But I found, after becoming your president, wondering if I needed to inspect my shoes. Like, uh-oh, what did I step in? As this honor does not fall lightly upon me. I have legends before me that I want to make proud, and a council of board keepers that I have a great respect for, who help to hold us up. These are volunteers who care about our community, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce them. Stand and stay standing as I call names. A couple of them won't be here today. I'm going to talk about Vice President Joe Bianco first, who is absent today because he is working with the Center for Neighborhoods at UMKC, learning how to write neighborhood grants. He is there with Lenny Constance, who is our finance director, designer, and internet guru, and very good friend to me. I'd also like to recognize Angie Lyle, who is our director of communications. She has served on this board for many, many wonderful seasons. Our head marketing director, Frank Serino, who needs no introduction. Frank is crucial to getting the businesses on our discount card. Elizabeth Hollins, who's not yet here, she will be here later. Oh, there she is, she snuck in. Elizabeth Hollins, I cannot talk about the wonderful mentor I have found in her. She has been a neighborhood mentor to all of us. Her dignity to this neighborhood has never wavered. Archivist Michelle Morandi, her craving for knowledge is admirable and contagious. Natalie Forbes, who works passionately, keeping us up on the here and now. At large, we have Mary Carey, who without her encouragement, I would not be standing here today. And Lauren Wienhold, at largely, is always willing to help out in any way she can. This is your Neighborhood Volunteer Association Board for 2026 and 2027. No need to inspect your shoes. This is happening. Let's create the best of Kansas City community, and let's do it together. I'll introduce Daniel Weber. He is a registered architect with Kansas City, Missouri. He is here to talk about PIAC funds to improve the walking trails in Tower Park. After that, we will hear from Tamara Wills with the Neighborhood Preservation in Kansas City. She is here to talk about dangerous buildings. Please, let's respect our speakers today and keep questions brief. We have a lot to get to this morning, and I do have a conclusion, so questions will be limited. It's Saturday, and we all want to have a great day, so let's get started.
Yes.
Daniel.
Thank you. Presentation. And if someone could lower the lights just above here, or possibly. being here and allowing me a chance to present a project, PIAC-funded project that's in design and bidding. Before I get too much into that, though, I'd like to just say a few things about myself so you know who it is that's presenting. I have often been interested in art, and when I graduated high school, I debated about going into architecture or art, and ended up going to Liberal Arts College up in Iowa, Grinnell, and graduated there with a degree in fine art, and then worked, went out to Cambridge and studied at Harvard for a little bit, and then came back to the Midwest and went to K-State for architecture degree. So in 2009, I finally became a registered architect, and I interned in St. Louis at PGAD Architects, and when I was at K-State, they had an urban design program that started at UMKC, and I was encouraged to participate in that for my 5th year, which I did, and worked for a number of architectural firms, including as well as Hallmark for a while. HOK for a while, doing stadium design and that kind of thing. And then started with the city in the late 90s and worked in codes administration for a couple of years, and public works department for 3 years, and then I was in city planning for 8 years doing kind of preliminary plating, infrastructure design reviews and permitting. Then for the last 7 years I've been with the Parks Department as a registered architect. And I like it very much. It's great people to work with, and it couldn't be a nicer job. I just really love it. The subject of, well, another thing is I bought a house in 1993 over in Marble East, so I'm not far from here. I have kind of a passion for this park as well as really all 222 parks that we operate. But it's a big challenge because there's so many ADA violations throughout the city's park system, and when we got audited by the US DOJ, we were put into a settlement agreement to bring things up to standard, which is the 2010 accessibility standards. Unfortunately, there's not DOJ, or there's not ADA money specifically for that, so a lot of times the things that drives these improvements are PIAC-funded projects, which we have to apply for, or if someone else does, and it's in our jurisdiction, a park or a boulevard, we operate and see those projects through. So some of you I've met before. I presented in May 11th of 2024 over at South Quadrant United Presbyterian Church. And at that time, it was this board to my left, which you'll see better when the lights are on, but it was the south end of the park. We had about $87,000 in water services money to begin a little bit of work in 2023, and got $250,000 in funds through PIAC to begin improving the trails, which are all, as you know, probably kind of broken asphalt trails for the most part. But in 2024, we did accomplish a significant amount. We spent about $124,000 on improvements moving north from the south end. I realized at the time that probably the biggest structural and accessibility non-compliance in this park is really at the north end. Of course, the south end had some issues too, which we corrected, but this north end, as you can see, is homes on the left, 75th at the far north, and then these orange lines represent what's there. And underneath that, kind of toward the east end, to the south of the tower, there's a underground wet retention facility that was built in 1939, and the water department still wants to keep that. It has water in it, a fairly large volume of water. But I think when I look at the existing configuration of the trail, I think, well, maybe that's why maybe they're trying to avoid that area, because it just extends not all the way to the street, but kind of along the flat area of the park. And this project is one that I applied for and got $180,000. I've gotten a bid back so far for the electrical, which is $42,000, which will essentially enable us to take those lights that are in that loop and reposition them on the new segment that will be ADA compliant. And then there's 2 light poles that the heads need to be rotated. So that's what that scope would cover. The other portion would be allocated to grading and flat work, which I'm waiting for a bid from our IDIQ flat work contractor on that. But I worked with Water Services to ensure that going across that kind of corner of that underground retention area will be all right, and they're good with that. And they're doing an MOU, a memorandum of understanding to identify parameters of that and limitations. But they seem to be, they were out there, walked the site with me, and they seem to be okay with this idea. So basically, what we're doing is eliminating the really steep areas that are not wheelchair accessible. As you go by 75th Street, you probably see how it's kind of steep there, and if you've walked it, it's really, for an athletic person, it might not be a big deal, but then you get up to, say, like the bench, and it's not on a flat area. It's not even on a concrete pad that has a wheelchair space beside it, like is our standard now. So this proposal will keep everything at 5% max running slope. We'll provide some landings at 2% max, where we have benches or wheelchair spaces or litter receptacles. And as I said, there's still $136,000 left in the account from 2024, which we can extend, and there's a lot more to do in this park. But this is kind of a real problematic area with regard to wheelchair accessibility. I also applied for funding and got $115,000 to improve some the furniture and provide some shelters. And later, if you look at this board, there you'll find that there's a couple of triangular areas in the south end that we connected to, but which need some kind of activation with like furniture or a shade device. Well, as you probably also know, there's a lot of GEO-bond money that was approved for this park, $1.3 million to do some analysis of programmatic changes that might be desired by the neighborhood. And that's kind of in process. So that furniture shade thing, I'm kind of holding off on implementing until there's more public engagement. And I think there's another $150,000 PIAC that was approved to look at South Park and this Tower Park to see how we can best coordinate design and program goals between the two parks, since they're kind of close together. But so that's in the works. But this one is nearing bidding and finalizing the design. I call this a 94% design. There's some little details that we'll probably have to finalize, but with the bidding and with the contractors. But that's essentially what we're looking at and what I wanted to present today, and I encourage any feedback you might have.
I live on 85th Street by the trolley trail, and I tried to have them talk about lighting from the pipes as they had still the electric lines and everything. The lighting in back of there that was put in has been vandalized and vandalized and vandalized. Are you looking at your designs also in terms of anti-vandalism issues? Because the lights are now on 24 hours a day because of all the issues we've had with the lighting. And it's cost the city a lot more, probably than they planned because of the vandalism issues.
Well, in answer to that question, the comment was, am I looking at the lighting for vandalism issues? And I guess And so that hasn't been the primary
Yeah, because you don't want
focus.
stuff accessible at the base because people will just rip into it.
Okay. Well, I'll mention that to Mark 1 and see how they respond. There are the bidder that's I've worked with so far on this.
Because unfortunately, everything that you have here, people are gonna look at ways to tear it up.
Thank you, Paula. And I think Tiffany had a question?
I just wanted to maybe clarify the scope a little bit. The orange lines you said are existing, are the green lines are gonna be new construction? Are you removing the existing, the orange line, is that gonna be demolished? And so the final project will be just those green paths?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Back here? You actually just asked my question, but I guess a comment for the lighting as well. Since you're talking about moving lighting, are moments like these, like, is it taken into consideration to try and do the lighting in such a way that it's not very obnoxious to both the neighbors and then also to like the local wildlife as well? Just, you know, have lighting but pointed where it actually needs to be pointed at and not just like the sun.
Okay. Yeah, the comment was with regard to, again, on the lighting, and if we can be sensitive to the wildlife as well as vandalism. And this is another question I can present to the electrical people. I think our priority here was on the trail improvements, converting them from the broken asphalt to a 2% max cross slope, 5% max running slope kind of. And when you change the configuration, it gets expensive because the lighting that's there we want to utilize, not as a high priority expense, but I appreciate the comment and I can answer that question. I think our goal was to utilize the existing lighting we have.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. I think Angie had a question, then we have two more questions over here.
Yeah, I just was, well, Tiffany asked my question, so that explained, like, the orange is going to go away, the green is going to be improved and more flat trail, and then the lighting situation, you know, Parks is supposed to shut off all lights at 10 o'clock. So that provides the nocturnal wildlife a chance to, you know, do their thing, which there's plenty, there's possum, raccoon, all kinds of stuff over there. So as long as it's hooked up to whatever system that the parks uses to turn off the lights, then it should be fine.
I know that at Oak Park, they had no lighting, and that's in District 3, and it got funding to add lighting. I think the new lighting, to be honest with you, is not as good as this. The lighting you have is more substantial. You know, it's big concrete bases.
Yeah.
It's not real, maybe the high
But also
style.
Parks will be maintaining those.
But
like-
anyway, yeah, the
Yeah.
Parks maintains them, and there was a request in that neighborhood about, well, lights are on, they're nice, but they're bright at night, they kind of shine in our windows. So we got with Mark 1 to put a timer on them so that they come on, they go off at midnight or whatever time. But then as it turned out, the neighbors decided, well, we do want them on, so there's that option to add, and I'll ask about that.
And then we had two questions over here.
I was just gonna see if it was possible to keep the connection on the west side there, so people don't have to go all the way back over towards Holmes to get down to 75th.
Yeah, it will remain, and I think that's probably the other reason why they put that loop there, because it gives people access at that west end. It'll be improved, and I envision that will be more of a flat 2% max kind of landing area, because when you transition and change grade, that's a requirement. You have to go from a flat area, you know, at a perpendicular angle.
They're not demolishing all of the orange then?
Well, that part will be demolished, but it'll be reconstructed to connect to the public sidewalk along 75th Street. In fact, some of that sidewalk needs to be replaced and would be in the scope too.
So you won't have to go from the east side, or the west side, all the way back over to the east to get down to 75th?
Are you saying that you
I
would?
think the question is there no connection along this west end? So the green is going,
Yeah, there is now. connection.
But, so is this orange sidewalk or trail that's existing on the west side here, is that being demolished?
Yeah, it exists currently, but in this view, we're kind of showing it overlapping because the new will go where that old was,
So
for that
are
area.
the orange trails being removed or are
Yes.
they staying? So this orange section here specifically on the west that connects from 75th Street to this point right here, is that going away?
It is, but at that point, it'll be reconstructed in a more compliant manner so that that sidewalk will be.
If
So
you
there's
come off of
green under that orange, is that what you're saying?
Green under the orange,
Okay.
overlapping. You
Yeah,
can't
well,
see them.
yeah, it's orange under the green, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is going to be connected, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I just
One more
finished.
here, and then we're gonna move on.
Pie in the sky finish timeline, like when would you anticipate this project?
Well, I think our goal is to get this installed this year, this part of it.
Nice. It's fantastic.
Yeah, once they get going, it doesn't take real long, a few weeks probably. I don't know what the start date is. I've got a project at Agnes Park that I have a reconstruction meeting on this week, and it'll start. It has basically no trails, just a playground, and we're putting in walking trails and just added a little.
Thanks, Daniel. We're gonna conclude with one more question.
And just a yes, no question. Is there any plans to add exercise equipment?
That could definitely be part of the Go Bond goals.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Next, we're gonna give it up to Tamara and Mr. Morris, perhaps? Yes. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for having us here this morning. My name is Tamara Mills. I am the Division Manager for Neighborhood Preservation, which Neighborhood Preservation is responsible for any of the nuisance and property maintenance issues within Kansas City city limits. Within our office, we also control and handle illegal dumping complaints. Our partners or another division within neighborhood services is dangerous buildings, which that they have a different division manager, but I can give you a little bit of information on that if you guys have questions. This is Kevin Morris. Kevin Morris is our community engagement manager who is over this particular area. The inspector that you have assigned to work cases and reports in your area would be Tafik Allen. So I'm not sure if any of you have had the pleasure of coming across and engaging with him on any issues. But anytime you have issues or things that you need to turn in and report, of course, you can always do that through 311. If you have the MyKCMO app, you can report that. You can also contact Kevin, myself, Tafik directly via email, phone, and just address and ask for any updates or ask us to investigate any concerns that you may have. And we kind of were a surprise guest this morning. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I guess I'll open it up and see if you guys have questions, concerns, anything in particular.
Yes, in regard to dangerous buildings, we here at Waldo Tower have a couple.
Okay.
We talked about this yesterday on the phone. We know we've got a couple of abandoned schools, perhaps an abandoned retirement home. How is your department working with KCMO to help our neighborhood association expedite changes in these areas?
So on the dangerous buildings, if you guys have specific questions that you need, I know for sure that you have the old Paul Robeson School that's in your area, which it is my understanding, I know that they've gotten permits and they're taking the next steps to go ahead and do demolition on that. And I think they're pretty.
Lucas's page says only half of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure, but yeah, we'll still be doing enforcement and other actions to make sure that it gets brought up to a state where it's acceptable. I can give you a direct contact to speak about any of the dangerous buildings that you have concerns and questions about and want to know what the current state is.
Perfect.
And the actions. The community engagement manager that you would reach out to, his name is Ray Herzog. His last name is Herzog. And his phone number is 816-719-2255. 8982. You can also email him at ray.herzog@kcmo.org. Just give him the address, he'll be able to fill you in on what their steps are or any information that they have regarding those dangerous buildings.
Perfect. And I think Frank had a question?
Could you expand on the opportunity for receivership at Roberson and talk about what the steps that the city is doing on a monthly basis to track the progress or lack of for the developer's proposed plan to not only demolish half the building now, do then some reconstruction on a soccer field, and then talk about what the city expectation is each month, how you document that, and at what point will that fall into the receivership that we can move this along?
Yeah, well, the receivership process is an extremely lengthy and very detailed process. I can't speak too much on the ending steps and how long it will take on that, but I can tell Kevin can explain the actions that we've been doing and how he's been having the staff document and just leading up to everything so that it can be finalized in the event that they don't come through and do what is needed.
So the assistant city attorney is working with the area officer. We go out in 30-day increments and document the progress, and we're also in near constant communication with the owner of the property about keeping it up and getting the violations abated before the actual demolition process starts on the portion of the building. So we're doing what we can to keep the situation as close to as close to held down as possible. So any questions that you have, like about the progress incrementally, you can always call me at Tafik, and you can attend the court hearings. I think there's a recent court hearing, there's a recent arraignment in March. I was talking to Frank earlier that you can attend virtually. So you can watch the court proceedings, and if it goes to trial, then you might have an opportunity to do a victim's impact statement or something like that later. But that's the current steps that are going on with the property.
Thank you.
I think Paula had a question?
Yes, I have had to make numerous complaints about dumping at the parking lot at 85th Street where the trolley trail goes across. And I keep asking, is there a possibility, because cameras are so cheap and dumping fines are so high, can't you put a camera there at that parking lot, that little lot?
It's a little bit more detailed than that because the way that they're doing it, the cameras that they have are just simple trail cameras, which normally when they put them up, the individuals just steal them. Especially
but they can put them up real high though, because they've got all those electrical lines from the old trolley trail.
They actually can. So it's just our regular staff, and they just have a ladder that they are able to put, so they can't get up very high to keep them up.
Because people just pull in that parking lot and dump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been trying to be strategic about the placement of the cameras if it's possible, and then we're just relying on individuals. So if you guys happen to see the vehicles, even if you can give us a portion of the license plate, if you're able to identify that, or maybe a description in the vehicle, they're doing all they can to try to run this stuff through the databases and see if we can at least trace them, find them somewhere else, because even though they're dumping in that spot, 9 times out of 10, they're probably dumping somewhere else, and maybe we've caught them on camera, in another location dumping. So we just they try to tie everything together.
Well, you have a light right there. You have high places you could put lights. You have a lot of high places you could put a camera.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just that our staff is not able to do that with the type of cameras that we have, and
that camera would never catch a license plate from that high up.
Okay.
It's like too far away, and that camera's not good enough.
Is there any other questions for Mr. Morris and Ms. Willis? Any other questions? Yes, back here.
Do you have anything to do with that Branch Mark building over on 74th Street?
Branch Mark?
71st and Western Cross Street.
It's Gregory. Gregory is right next to the post office.
Okay. If that's more than likely, it sounds like that's in my area. I can give you my card so I can actually find the address for you and give you a case update.
It's right across from the post office on 71st Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandsmart.
It's been going on for 15 years.
Yeah, get with him directly and he can kind of fill you in.
Because that southwest quarter is mine, so yeah, it should be.
Okay, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
guys are gonna have a pre-neighborhood meeting this morning. I think everybody's okay with that, right? Everybody's got their fill of coffee and cinnamon rolls and, you know, public use information. Thank you to all of our speakers. I wanted to do a conclusion today because I feel like coming into a new year, it is very important that we think about what our goals are and who we are as a neighborhood association. So I settled down last night and I wrote a couple words for a conclusion of our first meeting. I would like to leave you with this. Without our esteemed members, without your valuable input and hard work, think of it. Where would we be? Let's listen with compassion and passion. Let's hear with our hearts each other. We are Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association. We take pride in that. We take pride in each other. And despite our differences, we are called together today, here, to make a difference. All of us together create the best of Kansas City community. Thank you, Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association. I cannot wait to see what our future holds together. Just a few notes. We've got a couple fun events coming up. We have a happy hour at Social on February 19th from 5 to 7. Please RSVP. Our calendar for 2026 has been or will be posted to our socials and on our website as soon as possible, as well as your new board members. Let us know how you want to volunteer or if you find something that you want to add. I'm going to be sticking around after the meeting, so if you want to bend my ear a little bit, you can certainly do so. Let's be the change that we want to see. Lenny also wanted me to talk today about Adopt a Bus Stop, which is a really cool program Kansas City, Missouri's doing. You're finding bus stops are becoming less like bus stops and more like a bus stop, where there's just a bench and there's no like protection from weather. So there's information over here on how to adopt a bus stop. If that is something that you're interested in, you can reach out to me or Lenny, and we will get that information to you. At our next meeting in March I believe, is that right? Okay. We will have trivia. We're going to be doing a little fun trivia. So brush up on your Waldo Tower history and the history of Waldo. This meeting, as if there's not any other questions, anything for you? Yes, here.
What if we want a membership card? I haven't gotten one yet.
Elizabeth is back here and she can address that for you today. I think that's not the only question. Paula, Elizabeth is here. And then there was another question. Yes, back here.
My question's along the same lines. I know in like the past few years, I've just kind of gotten like an email reminder to pay the membership fee, but I don't think that's gone up.
It hasn't. Yeah, they'll be going out like in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? Anything you want to add? Anybody think of good news? No? Okay, great. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. I understand your time is valuable. I do not want to waste it. I think this is probably the shortest neighborhood meeting we've ever had. But let's go have a great weekend, and let's be important members to our community, as by you just sitting here in this meeting already are. Thank you, guys. This meeting of Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association has come to adjournment.